Lorianne, for joining us today and sharing us with what your experience has been going on with what's happening around us. So maybe before we start, you can let everybody know your background and where you're at right now.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So I'm the executive director of the Institute for Performance and Learning, Robin. I've been with the Institute for Performance and Learning for about a year and a half as executive director, but I was actually a member of the Institute and did my certification as a CTDP back in 2015. Basically, I've been working with associations for just over a decade now, and the company where I'm working is an association management company called Managing Matters, and so I have a great team there with somebody who's in charge of the certification piece and the membership piece and chapter outreach. So it's really a terrific experience, been a terrific experience, and continues to be working with I4PL.
That's wonderful. So, how has it been going on right now in your life, in work life, considering that we're all isolated?
Well, we were pretty lucky to the degree that we had, the company had instituted a work from home policy back in 2019. So many people had already taken advantage of that to work from home 1 or 2 days a month. And we put some systems in place that made the really quick pivot and transition an easier experience. Still, we did have to do a lot of change management because we weren't used to having the entire team working from home. We had to switch over all the phone lines to ring through to cell phones. We did set up more intentional types of meeting spaces and times and activities to allow teams to build within this new virtual environment, which clearly for everybody was also a slightly stressful experience given everything that was going on in the outside world at the same time.
Yeah. So what do you think are going to be what do you think would be the trends now, looking at what has changed from the trends in learning and performance that you were looking at the start of the year?
Well, if I look back to maybe, where I was a year ago, and when looking at the L&D landscape in Canada at that time, maybe the thought was more around how do we work harder and advocate for L&D professionals at top levels of business. So, how do we get into the C-suite and have our voices fully heard? And this was kind of, some companies were of course more forward-looking and advanced in terms of the importance they gave to their performance and learning teams, but other companies really, it was a kind of a constant advocacy process, and so we were trying to support that. If I look at the situation now, with even as much as it's been a difficult situation for companies over the past month, I would say that one thing that's terrific is how they've come to appreciate their L&D teams, because they had to rely on them so deeply to manage with HR this, how do we do it with the moving systems into the work from home situation? How do we handle all kinds of employee needs, and how do we support the teams, and how do we strengthen the teams? And really, this is what is allowing companies to continue to run their businesses. So I think that this has been just a tectonic plate shift that's happened in terms of how the companies are regarding their L&D teams within the company now.
That's wonderful. Now, do you think that will continue afterwards, or is this going to be a one-off?
I think it will continue, because I think that with the pandemic situation, it's not something that's going to be resolved overnight. And it's going to take a number of weeks and months. And because of that, companies are going to necessarily experience what it means to be working in a virtual environment. And, of course, some of the difficulties that people have experienced, but so many advantages that can also come out of this. And, some of the advantages, for example, are allowing full engagement and involvement of people no matter where they're located geographically, which, I mean, just that type of human resource interaction is a terrific advantage for a company and for the people power in the company. So the development of, and the, let's say, the perfection of using the virtual tools and platforms definitely is going to be something that will continue. And there is so much innovation. I've seen it, with the association management company, and even in terms of what we're trying out with the Institute for Performance and Learning members. There are so many tools out there and different ways to use them and different ways to engage people. And also, at the same time, realizing that living in this virtual environment, there are some things that you didn't maybe think of at the beginning and now realize, oh, there's such a thing as screen fatigue. People actually need some time away from their screens when they're on them all day, and how to work that in. And, just so many elements, but definitely the people that are on the front lines of making this work for the teams are the L&D teams. And so the importance of that group, I do believe, is going to continue even when we transition to maybe a different looking work environment than it was before, and also different looking from right now. I mean, it's a full-on everyday change management situation.
Right. Now, because we are now planning on whatever the new normal would look like, what do you think our leaders need to kind of prepare for? Because what they may have been preparing for before has dramatically changed because of their business continuity plans have actually had to be put in place. So now, in preparation for whatever 6 months from now would look like, whatever a year from now would look like, what do you think they need to be doing now?
So, I mean, I think that contingency plans are more important than ever, because as much as our imagination can, help us with imagining different scenarios for business continuity, we also need to imagine a contingency plan of, like, we didn't plan for this. So that kind of really agile movement and ability to think quickly, to take advantage of innovation, to draw on your team for ideas, to really listen to every voice. I think that's going to be really important. That kind of flexibility and adaptability. The other thing I think is maybe has been maybe underplayed a little bit in corporate environments is the aspect of compassion. I think that for team leaders, it's more important to have the human element of compassion when you're working in a virtual environment than when you're in a, face-to-face, where you just might be able to have, a casual encounter over coffee when you're, pouring your coffee in the kitchen or something. To be really sensitive and understand and make a space for that kind of interaction as well with team members.
Right. Now, what happens with individuals who want to look for jobs? Because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, hiring has to still happen. We still need to get people back. But now that leaders have had the taste of what online looks like, can now hire anywhere in the planet. So therefore, does that now change what we need to do to prepare ourselves to be ready to compete with pretty much everybody in the world? What should we do?
That's a really big question. I mean, the Association Management Company Managing Matters, they've continued to hire throughout this period and conducting virtual interviews through Zoom. And we've had one new employee already virtually onboarded and brought into the team. And, we all recognize that must have been a very new and strange experience for him, but it's worked out really well. So you're right, that virtual onboarding and hiring process allows us to look anywhere on the planet. I still think that, culture is going to be a very important element, and, somebody who is somewhere else on the planet. Well, I mean, obviously time zones will affect many jobs. If you need to have, face-to-face conferences and face-to-face meetings, even, through Zoom. It's probably not convenient for that to be 3 a.m. your time. But also understanding the local culture, if there are people, anywhere in the world that have that ability to share that common experience and pick up on those cultural cues, then I do think, that does open a very big door.
It is a whole new world for everybody. so, um, so with that in mind, what do you think would be good starting point or continue for our uh, candidates that we're preparing for so that they are ready for this new workplace? What do you think would be the kind of top 3 or 5 things that they need to make sure they remember to get ready for?
Well, I mean, I think that, people who are looking into L&D as a profession, performance and learning, we do have, of course, student membership. And I think that it's one way to understand that culture of the industry that you're going into is to engage with members who are working in that industry and participate in, the online virtual events, the webinars, hear your peers, who are a little bit further along in their career road speaking. And interestingly enough, I was recently approached by a company that's looking at placing student interns virtually. So, I mean, this would be something brand new. We have, of course, had student interns placed before and helping out in various capacities. And it would be interesting to see how that would work in a virtual environment. We just had a taste of it just at the very beginning of this because our student intern was, and actually from George Brown, from George Brown College, she was finishing her internship and she had a few more days. So we let her finish it, doing some online with us, and she was joining in with the Slack group. So she was, seeing the Slack chat for the team that she was on and joining in the team meetings through Zoom. But I think it's definitely a possibility. I mean, I would hate to see students lose out on that opportunity because I think it's absolutely key to their development as professionals.
That's great. Please tell us about what's happening with your company.
So Managing Matters has 34 employees and manages more than 20 associations. I4PL is one of them. And because there are so many groups and so many teams, working on some people work with multiple associations. So we found the need to move when we moved our staff meeting to virtual. We used a kind of almost like a Brady Bunch approach to giving our report. So somebody is picked to start, and then they'll look down and pass it to. So they'll name who they're passing it to. So it's kind of a fun Brady Bunch experience. We've brought in 2 set times for coffee breaks during the 2 half-hour coffee breaks twice a week, Tuesday, Thursday. We don't talk about anything work related. We just connect with each other, chat about who watched Tiger King on Netflix and who whose birthday it is that week and that kind of thing. And we also have a Slack group. There's Slack groups for work purposes and each team and each association. But we created, when this started, the first week this started, we created one called Happy Matters. And Happy Matters Slack group is only to share things that made you smile or made you laugh or something funny that happened in your day. And so everybody can share that with you. So we've always got something good and happy that, happened that day.
That is amazing. I would love to have that in our company as well. We tend to go directly to process and work, and then you end up forgetting about people, right? And I think that's important because
So I think that's actually a really important point, Robin, because it looks casual, but it has to be very intentional. So somebody has to be putting that thought process behind, well, if I do it this way, what is the result of that going to be? Is the result going to be like multiple interruptions in people's days? Or is this going to be something that when they have a chance and they're, getting up to pour themselves a coffee, they could take a look at that, Happy Matters or, whatever form, stream platform you're using to have a smile and to feel, connected and feel a bit cheerful in their day.
I like that. Thank you so much, Lorianne. That's actually wonderful tips for everybody. And stay safe out there.
Thanks, Robin, and you as well. Nice talking to you.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.